Okay, before we get started, I need to remind you of the ground rules. If you are watching this video, it means you have immediately invalidated the following argument. I can't believe a grown man is bitching about toys. These toys are made for kids. You're an adult and you're watching this video about toys. You clicked on it. As an adult, don't try that one. That hypocrisy won't fly. These are $20 action figures from a property older than we are. These are for adults. This video is a review. A review can be positive or negative or both. A review is not always positive. I know that the internet has really confused that issue over the years, and many of you have watched thousands of videos of people calling themselves reviewers as they only talk about things they like. So you've drawn the conclusion that reviews are always positive. I hate to break it to you, but you haven't been watching reviews. You've been watching people who like showing off their stuff. That's not the same thing as a review. A review is a chronicle of an experience with a product or service, good, bad, or possibly both. A review does not always have to find a pro or a con if the product or service was amazingly good or horrendously bad. Balance is not a mandate. Forcing someone to find something good or bad in a review that is either all bad or all good is just as disingenuous as someone ignoring something that was good in a bad experience or ignoring something that was bad in a good experience. I'm going to say things that are critical. If you cannot handle criticism, I will send you some of those pajamas with feet on them so you can get your teddy bear and eat Lucky Charms in front of Nickelodeon. I don't want to see a single adult commenter telling me I'm being too harsh or too negative. Drop that crap. You're too old to be that sensitive. Now that we have an understanding, here we go. I'm just going to come out and say it. I have no idea what Hasbro was thinking with G.I. Joe Classifieds. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm flabbergasted, really. And I'm looking at the reactions online and people are all saying the same thing. They're saying, well, the Snake Eyes looks great. The rest of them I'm not so sure about. Maybe I can customize them. And they're not wrong. I mean, that exclusive Snake Eyes with all the weapons, he looks okay. I mean, but he gets away with a lot of sins because he's molded entirely in black. So even though he really is redesigned, it doesn't show as much. I just don't understand what they were thinking at the boardroom at Hasbro when they made this decision. Because you've got a company that has been leaning on nostalgia for so long with all of their properties, both licensed and owned. So like right now, you've got them recreating the Star Wars Kenner figures to the letter. You've got them in their, 10th year or something like that, or I think it's the 10th year. I could be wrong about that, but they're many, many years into their very successful Black series, and the Black series is known for giving us 6-inch scale movie screen accurate depictions of the various characters throughout all the different media. Then you have Transformers. Transformers has given us an amazing lineup of screen accurate recreations of characters like the Masterpiece. And now they're even recreating the original Generation 1 Hasbro Transformers and putting them out at Walmart and various places. So that's two franchises that are going along that model. We now have the announcement of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, they are recreating the original Kenner Real Ghostbusters figures with all of their design and sculpting foibles and everything. They haven't improved them one bit. They're coming out exactly as they looked in 1986. And at the same time, they're bringing out 6-inch scale deluxe movie accurate Ghostbusters that are screen detailed and all that kind of stuff. The one line that fans have been screaming for and demanding to get in a new scale, in a Masterpiece Black Series style, is G.I. Joe. And what do? They decide that they're going to bring out classic characters in completely redesigned deco. So they're making them look more like Power Rangers than they are G.I. Joe from 1982. And It's not just that they're redesigned, it's that they don't look good. Roadblock's got one knee pad, and Scarlet looks like she's wearing some sort of Alita Battle Angel outfit, and Duke has got, asymmetrical body armor on, and it just looks terrible. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why would they do this? And people that I've talked to, my friends, are like, well, they're going to bring out the classic ones. They're just testing the market with classifieds. And I'm like, you're telling me that a company that wants to make money on this isn't going to start with the slam dunk? Like, you're telling me they're going to take the risk first before it's proven? They're going to see if it works on the risk? That doesn't even make sense. And then somebody else told me that, well, they're based on the depictions from the War on Cobra mobile app, the mobile game. Well, I went and looked at the graphics for that, the depictions of the characters. Scarlet looks 100 times better in the mobile app game than she does in this classifieds line. They're really awful. And I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, this echoes a conversation that I had with some friends several years back who were saying, G.I. Joe really needs to have a 6-inch scale run. And I said Hasbro will redesign them and make them look funky. Hasbro won't bring out the Joes the way they were depicted in the classic lineup. They won't do it. Hasbro has been trying to stamp out G.I. Joe for years. And it's only fan demand that has begrudgingly brought this product line back into the marketplace. And it's really only being targeted at adults anyway. $20 figures, that's the other odd part. It's like these are still at the $20 collector level for toys, and they're being aimed at Gen Xers, and yet they're refusing to give us the Gen X designs, the Real American Hero designs. And the designs, like I said, don't even look good. Like Scarlet, Roadblock, and Duke look terrible. Their accessories are all sci-fi'd out. So like Roadblock looks like he's carrying something that Tommy Lee Jones carried in Men in Black. It's like this big alien blaster. Duke looks like he has a Nerf gun. I mean, it does look like a Nerf gun. Scarlet's crossbow, it's way too over-engineered and stylized. There is nothing in this line that depicts classic G.I. Joe. And if they're going to give us those later, then what a waste of time. I don't know what they're trying to do at Hasbro in regards to this property, but what's obvious is they are not comfortable with it. They really don't want to do this. And so they're like, well, can we make G.I. Joe like Fortnite? Can we make G.I. Joe like Star Wars? Can we make G.I. Joe something that is currently popular? And it's like, do you realize that G.I. Joe is still popular regardless of the fact that you refuse to make it? There is a disconnect here, Hasbro. G.I. Joe didn't end because it wasn't popular. G.I. Joe ended because you made it a Toys R Us exclusive and killed it after making 2 really bad movies. There's a massive fan base that's still out there for the original Larry Hama-inspired Real American Hero G.I. Joe. That's why the comic book was still running strong. That's why Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia is getting bigger every year, even though you guys killed Joe Con. You as a company killed your own product line. Nobody wanted it to go away except you guys. And now you're trying to redefine it because you're uncomfortable with it on some level at the company. Either do it right or don't do it at all. Because right now you're not doing it right. And it's obvious that you're begrudgingly bringing it back out, but you desperately want it to be something else. You want your fans of G.I. Joe to be into a completely different type of idea. And we're not. G.I. Joe has its place, and it has a good place in the toy aisle, in toy history. We want Duke and Roadblock and Scarlet and Snake Eyes all to look the way they did in 1982 and subsequent, iterations. Obviously, Snake Eyes is version 2, which is also just fine. That's a very popular version of Snake Eyes. We want them with their Uzis and their M16s and their 50 caliber machine guns and their actual crossbows. And there should be nothing wrong with that. But you guys have decided that you want to give us Mighty Morphing Power Rangers meets Fortnite, and that is unacceptable. I know there are a lot of you who have the reflex of, I need to buy these to support the line because otherwise they might not make any more. And I just don't think that's the right way to go. With a corporation like this, you really need to teach them harshly. And that means you teach them like a dog. You teach a dog not to poop in your house, not by simply picking up their poop. All right? When they poop in the house, you rub their nose in it and you kick them outside. That's what you do. And that's what we need to do with Hasbro with a product like this, is say, no. Get out. And then maybe they'll figure out on the next go around not to do that. Yeah, I'm like an old man yelling at a cloud to some of you, but I think to a lot of you who I've spoken with privately, I think you know that this makes sense. There is absolutely no business reason that makes sense for them to walk away from the sure thing that everybody's been demanding for at least a decade in favor of this random thing that they're going to test and see if it does okay. And then if it doesn't do okay, then what? We don't get the classic versions at all? You see how they've put the cart before the horse on this one? Sell us the real Scarlet and it will do well, and then sell us versions of Scarlet so that the people that just eat up everything can go buy those as well. Don't put the limited market one out first. The one that's of limited appeal needs to come last. It's amazing to me how they haven't figured this out. So I'm not buying any of the classifieds. I'm sure you've picked up on that by now. I'm not doing it. Not even the Snake Eyes, because why would I want an orphaned action figure from a line that sucks? Especially when they're probably going to reissue Snake Eyes at some point with the correct legs and the correct pouches and the correct backpack and all that kind of stuff. Why would I waste my time on this thing? No, no. They need to either confess that they want to kill the line and never bring it back, or they need to say, sorry, we screwed up and we're going to, issue these out the right way. And issue them at a volume and a level where everybody can get access to them. Because even with the Star Wars and the real Ghostbusters and the Transformers, the distribution volumes have been so bad that supply has not even come close to meeting demand for a lot of those lines. The Star Wars Retro Collection was terrible last year when it came to distribution volumes. And I suspect the real Ghostbusters reissues will be the same way. They won't come close to meeting demand on those. And I'm sure the upcoming Empire Strikes Back Retro Collection will be the same way. G.I. Joe Classifieds, we're not going to get a good read on what the production volumes of those are going to be because they're not going to sell very well and they're going to sit on pegs. And, people are going to say, well, they gave us plenty of G.I. Joe and nobody bought them. And it's like, no, they put out a product nobody wanted. Well, that being said, I'm going to get back to my day and go enjoy actual G.I. Joes that don't suck. You can see I even have the 25th anniversary versions here, so don't get in my face and say that I hate everything modern. I really don't. I hate things that don't make sense. And this move, after all these years of waiting, does not make sense. And it's typical Hasbro. We're going to bring out Cookie Monster in HasLab. Nobody wants that. Nobody wanted it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.